When Ron and June Underwood first married, they struggled just to get by.
I was still having trouble making ends meet.
They both knew about the principle of tithing, but giving 10% of their income seemed impossible.
I just couldn't gather the paradox of giving and then having it given back to me. And I would tip God. I had to pay those bills. It just didn't seem practical.
One day, after adding up their bills, June decided to write a letter.
I wrote the Lord a letter, and I headed it at the very top, my God shall supply all my need, according to his riches and glory, by Christ Jesus. And I said, Lord, I need this to be paid. Drew the line, and it was $1,530. And that was a lot of money back 30 years ago.
Ron prayed and asked God what to do. He says God told him not to give 10%, but 20% for 6 weeks.
So the next morning, we were going to church, Sunday morning, and I began to explain to her, I said, I believe the Lord is dealing with us to double tithe for a set period of time.
And I said, you gotta be kidding.
When they arrived at the church, the pastor had a special announcement.
Pastor gets up and he walks up to the front and he says, there's several families here, and God's dealing with you to tithe for a certain period of time, a double tithe.
And at that point, I knew God was speaking.
And I was going to say something, but I didn't have to. She was already writing the check to the church.
The very next morning, the couple received a phone call from an insurance company. For several years, they had been automatically deducting payments from his check for a non-existent policy. An insurance agent came to their house that night.
And he began talking and explaining and apologizing how that this had been taken out automatically. And I said, well, how much money is it? He said, well, it's for $1,531. Pressed down, shaken together, running over. I was running over by $1. Paid every bill we had.
Before long, the Underwoods started giving to CBN as 700 Club partners.
700 Club is benevolent. It's good ground. When you sow into good ground, you reap a good harvest. And when you fertilize that good ground with prayer and with believing and with obedience, God will turn it back on you so quick it'll make your head swim.
Today, Ron is a landscape architect and has a 6-figure income. The couple has been debt-free since their leap of faith and even paid cash for their home.
Sow into good ground. Expect the promises of His Word, and your obedience puts you right in the middle of where God can do things for you.